Ah. What is up, everybody? Lyle, No Hippie Trucking and Transportation. Just tried to go live a little while back. And was unable to do so because of connection. I was in the middle of nowhere. If you happen to be watching this on the replay, I'm going to let a few people get in here. Double check this connection. Myth Leather Company, what's going on? Whilyv 94, what's up, D's nuts? Hey, we were just out in Manuka a little while back. Dropped our trailer and went to that grocery store down the street. Anakin, what's up? Barry, what's going on? So anyway, yeah, we were out here, or let me just say, I was getting in adventures out here earlier this morning. They didn't say anything about a detour on this route until I was up on it. It was like bridge closed 1,000 feet ahead. Now, all I had was 6 bad options to take. I was either going to make a left at these 3 streets on the left or make a right, on those same 3 streets. So I picked what I thought was a decent option, went through there, but as soon as I saw what I was going to have to do, rookies, listen, just because you have your tandem set in a certain place when you're, to get your weights right, if you're going through a place you think is going to be tight, stop that truck and slide them tandems to the front. I'm lucky I did that because, and I'm lucky it was during the daytime. Because there were a couple of those turns, man, where if I wasn't able to see my trailer, there's like poles and stop signs and all this kind of stuff. So anyway, we made it through it. I had my boy wake up because I was like, hey, I need some, like Fast Times at Ridgemont High. I'll drive and you navigate. So anyway, one of these situations we got into during this whole detour thing was we were in this neighborhood, right? And the neighborhood was like closed at the end of the neighborhood. So I had to make a right. And then you go to the right, and there was no way we were going to be able to go through there. So I had to back out. Now, I was thinking I was going to need him to spot me, but I had a little bit more room than I thought. I didn't have to worry about traffic coming behind me because the street was closed. So backed out of that, finally got on the right route, got out to our receiver 24 hours early, was able to deliver. So hopefully we get a load so we can keep cracking, because I am definitely trying to get his miles done as soon as possible. D&E Outdoors, grab the camera for a Lamar Jackson edit. I'm not sure what that is. So anyway, right now we are at the Speedway in Corfu, New York. So those of you guys that are familiar, you got I think it's near Pembroke, but you got the Flying J across the street. You got the TA across the street. We decided to, go something a little bit more intimate. So we're at the Speedway right now, waiting for a load. Sean, what's going on? So we got lucky this week. We're trying to do everything we can to get through these miles. So we were just out in Utah. Delivered a load out there 60 hours early. They said don't drop, if you drop a trailer, you got to take a trailer. But the guys, the receivers in Utah were off that day because of Juneteenth. So I'm glad at least 2 black people were in Utah during that period of time. But they did allow us to take it, and I was just like, you know what? We ain't gonna worry about taking no trailer. We're bobtailing out of here. So we got a load that next day, leaving out of somebody picked up a load in Washington, Apples, so we picked up those loads at Springfield and drove them out here. what I'm hoping, I'm not sure how close we are to Chobani. I'd have to take a look, but if we could get a load out of Chobani, even though it might be a bit of a deadhead, and go out to like Idaho, that would be perfect. Because right now it's more about the miles than the money. I'm trying to get my boy upgraded so he can do his thing. And I'm trying to get home. Everett, what's up? Hey, if Myth Leather Company's still in here, I still can remember the taste of that bourbon you sent. It's usually, it wasn't as high of the proof was a little bit lower than I'm used to drinking, but that probably had the most banana flavor of any bourbon I've had like ever. It actually kind of reminded me of 1792 with that kind of banana vanilla kind of flavor to it. That stuff was good. I do still appreciate you for sending that out. I'm just glad that, because the place that we dropped off at had overnight parking. I decided to stop about 3 hours out at the Truck World, right near, it might be in Ohio. Actually, it's in Ohio, so we decided to stop there. Man, if I was driving through that stuff at night, going through them tight-ass neighborhoods, I'm just not sure. But that Apple distributor that we dropped off at, they had us unloaded 15 minutes. So like I said, we're just waiting for a load. Anyway, if anybody happens to be watching this, that I know Richie Rich had left a comment. The guy that I'm training, who was my trainer at Prime back 6 years ago, he worked at Walmart as a yard dog, and he asked if my guy had thought about working for Walmart. And he actually had thought about working for Walmart, but it takes a lot longer to go from a yard dog at Walmart to being a truck driver at Walmart than if you were to leave another company and go to Walmart. So that's one of the reasons he chose to come back to Prime. Also, he knows the Prime system. All right, David Boyd, do they consider all miles on the truck driven or just his miles? They only consider dispatch miles, so I could, hypothetically, I could drive all 30,000 miles and he would get credit for them. So it's just how many miles we're dispatched for. And I also had a comment where somebody was saying that they wouldn't train with the lease purchase truck, a truck that's paid off. And I wholeheartedly agree. This situation right here, the only reason I'm doing this is because he's the guy that trained me. I would not be putting these miles on continuously. I would not be a continual trainer in a truck like this. It just doesn't really make all that much. I mean, I guess it does make sense if you put aside all the money that the truck is going to depreciate for when it's time to take that truck off the fleet or sell it or whatever. So I figure once I get done training him, I'm going to sit for about 25, 26 days, so I'll be able to even out the miles right there. 412, what's up? I just got your text message. I'll take a look at that. And all you guys, 412 being one of them, I know Tim travels. Anybody that I might be talking to on a day-to-day or every other day or every third day basis, I just haven't been able to do it, man, because this shit is tiring. I don't know if it, I mean, I'm old or getting old, and this stuff is just, as soon as I'm done driving, I turn off my ringer and I take my ass to sleep. That's what I've been doing out here. So haven't really been all that talkative and stuff like that, which is one of the worst things about being a team truck. You know, people talk about why they don't want to train and this and that, and I think one of the main reasons is, you know, if you got a wife and stuff like that, you're not able to have the same kind of conversations, all that kind of stuff. So that kind of is a thing right there. So anyway, 412, we're at the Speedway in Corfu, New York, right across the street from the TA and the Flying J. 412 running on 412 running on recaps for the first time in my whole 6 years. Them recaps, boy. Actually, sometimes recaps are good, as long as you're not forced into staying in them continuously. But recaps are great in the winter and great when you're trying to manipulate your drive schedule. So if you want to drive nights or whatever, that's a good way to kind of. Actually, those aren't recaps; those are split logs. But yeah, totally different thing. Disregard all that. One thing I will say about recaps at Prime, I used to always try to worry about my clock and try to save all this time on my clock and everything. And one thing I've came to figure out is maybe running on low hours is actually better, because if they have two trucks sitting next to each other and one is low on hours and one has a full clock, the one full clock's going to eat that deadhead. I can tell you that right now. So, all right, 412, I fucked up my reset by 33 seconds, lost my entire reset. That's happened to me before. Not on a 34, but it's happened on a 10. And I ended up having to do a split because of it. Wasn't that big of a deal. Another question, let's see what else. I think I answered that. But it is good having hey, my man's so appreciative that I went ahead and took the time to help him complete his miles that I've only been in the back of the trailer one time. He's all eager to go back there and blow out a trailer. I was just telling him how happy I was having you on the truck. I mean, not that I wouldn't get back there and blow out a truck or a trailer, but he's on it, boy, let me tell you, so. Hey, make sure if you're doing them, let's see, okay, tomorrow he's going to drive for 6 hours, get back 11 hours, then I don't know how much they get back on Thursday. Depending on what kind of system you have, you should be able to see how much recaps you're getting each day. I did have to violate my clock by like 45 minutes. Not too long ago, because I did it because I was picking up a load to pick up him, and man, let me tell you, I told him I wasn't going to be able to make the load. I told him that as soon as I got it. It's going to be tight, and I asked for, I said, please advise. They were like, well, you don't hear nothing. I was like, all right, well, the load's going to get there on time. So that means I either violate my logs or falsify my logs. So between those two options, I think I'll just violate it. All right. What do they got in there?
Pizzas, beans, nuggets, and they got some cold food and then like warm up and shit. But I got this on a deal, $5, so I couldn't turn that down.
So anyway, this is not an excellent week. I mean, I think the miles we're going to end up with like 4,000 miles, something like that. Revenue probably low 8s or something like that, which not great, but if somebody's wanting to train and they're trying to increase their monthly earnings or weekly earnings, you know, this will still accomplish that. Big knockout, man. That's a whack ass rapper. At least kind of. So I was hoping that we would be getting loaded out of here a little bit faster. I think you might take this next drive shift, whatever it is, but we might have to send a message. As a matter of fact, do that. Just send a message and just say, we're ready.
I'll be like, Lion said, hurry up.
Because if we don't get loaded too soon, it's going to defeat the purpose of delivering that load early. At least let me know where I'm going, so I know if we can relax or whatever the situation is going to be. But shoot, I really didn't have much to talk about. I just wanted to get on here real quick. I'm about to shut this down. Go lay down, because I know as soon as I lay down and get comfortable, they're going to send another load. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. But 412, I'm going to check out what you just sent me. But I am out of here. I'll check y'all out later.